I want to just go back to just you as a GM. We always hear about the Patriot Way, and with your experience in that Patriots culture with the sustained success, how have you been able to apply some of that in Arizona, but at the same time, make sure you are authentically yourself, which I think is something some other people have had a hard time doing coming out of New England?
Yeah, and I think really it's for me, the Patriot Way. I know it's thrown out there a lot, and sometimes um, for those of us that were in the building, like I don't know that. I think it's a hard concept for us to really understand or really to put our hands around because to me, uh, the secret sauce of the Patriot Way was just an entire organization that knew what their role was that contributed to us being able to have success on Sundays. And so, there wasn't something where, we didn't have to come in and read a manifesto of, hey, this is the Patriot Way or anything like that. I think really it was making sure everybody knew in each individual department how their job, how their role played a part in us being successful. And so for me, that's what I've tried to bring out here as a GM. It's that everybody's got a different job. Like the players, like catch touchdowns, throw touchdowns, sack a quarterback, and then it goes to scouts, finding players, coaches, coaching the players, trainers, getting players ready to go. The janitors, like making sure everything's clean, the kitchen staff, making sure we have good food. Like, I think all that is, making sure everybody knows how their each respective role factors in and why it's important. And if you can get good people performing consistently at a high level, then that's when you have a chance to succeed. And to me, that's what the Patriot Way means to me. And so, and I think for the other part, I think for me, it's just important to be myself. And so, I think I'm going to empower people to do what they're doing, and that's how the Patriot Building was ran a certain way, and our building runs a certain way. And I don't think that's something that you can duplicate, nor do you want to duplicate. I think it's got to be true to the people that are in a building and making sure that they have the tools they need to be successful, and then getting the right people in place and not looking back.
Yep, and that so far has been the case there in Arizona with you being the GM and everybody else underneath you. I want to ask you about this current Cardinals team that you've constructed so far. I'm going to start with your first round pick last year, Marvin Harrison Jr. This photo comes out of him just looking absolutely jacked. I mean, Kyler Murray said he thought this was AI. What are you expecting from Marvin in year two, who quite clearly has been putting in a lot of work?
Yeah, I don't know. I gotta ask Marv about his workout plan there, huh? I gotta get beach ready for the summer here. I'm behind. No, I mean Marvin. Listen, Marvin has been everything we wanted him to be. Like we knew. Again, we try to do as much research as we can on players and understand what we're getting. Or Marvin has exceeded our expectations about what he is in terms of work ethic, preparation, how seriously he takes his job. And so, I don't know if there was a day this offseason that Marvin wasn't in our building, training, just working, just getting better. And so it's shown, it's showing in his body, it's showing on how he's performed out here in the spring. And we talk about it all the time, that jump from the jump that a player makes from their rookie year to their second year. That rookie year is tough. It's tough on these guys, and it's tough. It's a lot of new stuff thrown at them. And so, we're expecting the same from Marvin. And so, he had a good rookie year. He had a really good rookie year. He led our team in touchdowns. He made explosive plays, so we're excited for him to be able to take that next step. And he's really well on his way here, the way he's performed this spring.
The other thing you did this offseason was this felt like a defensive transforming offseason for you guys with Josh Sweat, Dalvin Tomlinson, Calais Campbell, drafting Walter Nolan, along with the rest of the defensive line that's been there with Darius Robinson, BJ Ojolari, Baron Browning. It feels like in a snap of a finger, this defensive front has become one of the best on paper in the league. What was the vision behind these moves? I think bringing back Calais, who truly belongs in Arizona and might be one of the best people in this league, will go a long way for some of the young guys. Just the overall identity of this defense and adding all those guys. What was the thought process, and what are you expecting out of all that?
Yeah, Ari, I mean, I think, the last couple of years, I mean, we've seen like the NFL season is long, it's tough to get through. And so, we've had some attrition the last 2 years, specifically on the defensive line. So, last year we made some free agent additions, and Now, a month into the season, like guys get hurt, and guys that we had planned, that to be out there and to be contributing, they aren't out, not through no fault of their own. I mean, injuries are one of the worst parts of the NFL, and unfortunately, it struck us at that position. And so, going into this offseason, I think it was we had a couple goals. Like one was increase the depth, because you can never have enough big guys, whether it's on the offensive line or the defensive line. Was so increase the depth. And then also on top of that is we wanted to raise the talent level in that room. And so we wanted to become more disruptive. We wanted to become more physical. We wanted to be able to create negative plays, help our back end of our defense create turnovers. And so, we wanted to focus on that. And so when we started adding pieces to the defensive front, opportunities presented themselves. And so we were able to make some additions there in free agency, and Josh Sweat, Dalvin, Calais. So we're excited about the veteran presence that they're going to bring to that room, and also the disruptive element that they've proven that they have in the league. And then, to be able to continue to add in the draft with Walter, and then Jordan Birch in the third round. Like, we can never have enough of those guys. And so I think our ability to continue to add depth and add competition was something that we set out to do this offseason.
Well, listeners of this show could attest to this, but last year the Cardinals were my pick for the surprise team of the year. And at one point, you guys were 6-4 and in first place in the NFC West, and I was looking pretty good. Obviously, did not finish the way you guys wanted, but it definitely feels like this is a team that's on the rise. And I want to ask you just these last two things before I wrap it up. Do you ever just reflect back on where the organization was when you got here and where it is now? Like, I remember that first year where Kyler was recovering from the ACL. You guys cut 3 out of the 4 quarterbacks who were there in training camp. You trade for Josh Dobbs. JG is not announcing who's going to be the week 1 starting quarterback. And now here we are. This is a team that won 8 games last year, doubled their win total. And I think fans are coming across as this is a team that could definitely be moving on the up of here. Do you ever look back at just this journey so far in 3 years?
I mean, I think in different ways, Ari, but I think our focus is really on what's in front of us. I think we've had, we made a lot of improvements going into our 3rd year. We've made improvements. We still have a long way to go. We made some strides last year. We fell short of where we wanted to go there. We had, the last handful of games there, we had 3 one-score games, came down to the last possession. We got to find a way to get over the hump. We got to find a way to improve that. And honestly, like what happened last year, it really has no bearing on what's going to happen this year. We got to reestablish our team. We got a lot of new players. We got guys that are going to be in different roles. We got guys that have been going to have to reestablish what they mean to this team. And so, I think the NFL it's too rapid moving of a system to get caught up in looking back and say, well, this is where we come from. Now I do think there is a lot of value in looking back and saying, hey, like we made this decision. Was this the right one? Or, hey, we could have done this differently, because I think you learn from that. I think you learn from every decision that you make or you don't make. So I think in that respect, yeah, we have looked back on some things. But really in terms of, hey, where we're going is our eyes are focused on forward and seeing what we can do for the 2025 season.